Thank you for the chance to be here. There are some very familiar faces in the audience, and I have to say, just talking to Matthew before we started, what a great opportunity it is to just kind of lay out what is it that we're doing, have a chance to get some of those questions answered. And I know that you're not going to love everything we're doing, believe you me, I know that. But, you know, this is a chance for us to get face to face and talk through some of this. I also just want to say thank you for being here today. It is a really, really important session. And to our sponsor, Chris, as someone who's just renovating an old state house, I'm pretty up close and personal with Jib at the moment, and I can vouch for your fine product. It is awesome. So just really, really briefly, there's probably about three things that I've been asked to do today. Number one, a quick trot through some of the Unitary Plan stuff. Secondly, just a couple of key planning issues and initiatives around infrastructure that are taking place across Auckland. And thirdly, just a quick discussion about some of our integration projects. So I'll just see if I'm loaded up or not. Indeed. So, to the Unitary Plan, which has been a major undertaking. So like all successful cities across the world, Auckland is growing at a huge rate of knots, and we all know that. That's not a surprise to any of you in the room. And the key thing that we needed to do as we came together with all of the councils is to get that one single rule book, which is effectively the Unitary Plan. Now, you all know that this took a long and complex process to get in place, and we certainly haven't got everything right, but it is the start of what we hope is going to be a really, really good Unitary Plan. Many of you in this room will have put in your submissions. Hopefully you're at the cross-submission stage now, and we're really looking forward to hearing all of that feedback. But just to restate, the essence of the Unitary Plan is, you know, dealing away with the 6'2" of old district plans that we've got and putting it into one cohesive, coherent plan. Secondly, we heard really clearly from Aucklanders, despite what the Herald has had to say and other media, people don't want to spread from Warkworth to Pukekohe. They want a different city, a 21st century city that is more compact. But as part of that, people want housing choices and they want good urban design, and that is the number one non-negotiable that we heard from Aucklanders. So bless your hearts, you urban designers, architects and builders, because you are actually the people who are going to make that happen. The other issue is that there's been discussion in the media about building affordable. It's okay to build ugly. It absolutely isn't. That is non-negotiable, and there is no reason to build ugly. We can build smart, and again, you're the kind of the brains and the intellectual holders of how we build smart, and we can build beautiful, but we don't necessarily need to have the granite benches and the soft closed toilets and the $800,000 builds. We can do things differently. The other thing in the Unitary Plan discussions we heard was that people wanted us to make the most of the infrastructure that we've got, and that means not spreading but building on our transport networks and some of our other major pieces of infrastructure that you've all paid for over the last 50 to 100 years. Not 100 years for some of you, but I should say 30 to 40 years. We also want to protect the things that make Auckland beautiful, and that's our beaches and our natural environment and the stuff that really matters to us and makes this city unique. So just briefly, on the submission process, we had just under 9,500 submissions over the 5-month consultation period, and again thank you to all of you who've submitted. We've got 93,500 unique points that have been made in these submissions, all of which will be collated, addressed and discussed by the panel that's been brought together. We now have online the submissions for you to check, and the report which brings all of this together is actually the biggest resource Management Act report since 1991. So it's a major achievement, and we haven't ironed all the wrinkles out, but we've endeavoured to keep this as transparent and out there and accessible as it possibly can be. But now this is where the rubber really hits the road, and this is where we need to interrogate what were we hoping for and what haven't we achieved and what can we do better. And again, your submissions will help with that. The next stage in the process have again been well canvassed. We're now in that 30-day further submission phase, which started on the 11th of June. And as I say, we hope that we're going to get really good engagement with that. We've got our independent hearings panel chaired by Judge David Kirkpatrick, and it's now their job to run the process from here. They have to complete this task by the 22nd of July in 2016, and the statutory deadline of all the decisions is 30th of September 2016. So compared to, and many of you will know and have been through the old district plan process, 12 to 15 years for some of these processes, this is a hell of a lot quicker, but it has taken and will take some bravery to get through the requirements to get out the other end of it. So it seems as if we are, planning at the moment. But again, we're only 3.5 years old, and we've had to bring many of these plans together to really work out how it is that we want the future of Auckland to develop. So now our focus is turning to action. What are we going to do with these plans, and how do we make the stuff happen on the ground? One of the most critical things, again, that we've heard over the last 3 years is people's concern about housing. And you'll know about the housing accord. It's one of those issues that started off shaky and is now starting to really bear fruit. Our relationship with Nick Smith as we work through the housing accord couldn't be better, so please don't believe what you read in the media. It's actually going really well, surprisingly well, and we've got some good things happening. We've got 63 special housing areas underway. The consents are starting to pick up, and tranche 4 is underway, and we've got a series of workshops happening with councillors to work those through. But the most important thing with the SHAs is it's not just about getting houses built. We've focused very much on the numbers. This is making the Unitary Plan work and making Auckland work. So we've had to move things along apace because of the special legislation, but we're not going to give away any of those things that we've promised you around good practical development, good quality, and building in the right places. So one of the critical things that we are hoping to address and are working on, actually I'll just give you some quick stats because people are always interested in what's coming out of the housing accord. Since the 1st of October 2013 through to the 13th of June 2014, which is 8.5 months since the start of the accord, we've had 4,650 new dwellings consented. So that's really a pickup from what we've been looking at over the last few years. On current trends, the annual total estimated buildings that will be consented by year end, that's the 30th of September, is almost 7,000 as opposed to 5,000 for the previous year, and you will be feeling that pressure yourselves, I imagine. And just for interest's sake, 25% of all of these consents are for apartments, and I personally think that is an excellent idea. So with all of this growth, development and everything happening, what are we doing to make sure that we're doing the right stuff in the right place at the right time? And that's one of the biggest questions that I get. Have you thought of the schools? What are the water pipes going to do? Where does the sewage go? Have you thought of this? Well, please rest assured we have, and this is the wonderful Rhea Anderson has been at the heart of much of this work. So this is looking at making sure the SHAs, as I said, are in areas that make the most of the infrastructure that's already in the ground. But as we work over the next 3 decades, that we have the forward land release plan that actually matches NZTA's plans, Auckland Transport plans, Watercare's plans, so that we are building infrastructure to match the requirements of those special housing areas. Building infrastructure too early, to be honest, is quite bonkers. It's actually, the holding costs of having underutilised infrastructure in the ground is mad. It's building it just in time is the trick. And I don't know if the public necessarily understand that because they're not seeing the big water pipes going out into green fields. You will all know that this needs to happen in an integrated way. So part of our work is that as the Forward Land Infrastructure Program is being driven by the Auckland Housing Office under Rhea's excellent guidance, and hopefully you will be seeing that work being made a lot more clear to you. City centre integration, this just touches on some of the key infrastructure programs that we've got underway. As we look at how this big region of ours is now going to function, we have to focus on some key spatial areas. We can't spread the butter thinly across the whole region, and we need to look at the areas that are actually going to make economic sense, that are the places of growth and are the places where we need to invest our money. And one of these areas is the city centre. All international cities, if your city centre isn't working, then your city isn't going to work. There are key precincts, there are 40 projects underway in this area at the moment. It's not all just about Queen's Wharf and the waterfront area. There's a lot of really big projects happening, and you'll know that the 5 key areas are the Wynyard Quarter downtown, the Learning Quarter, Aotea Square and Victoria. Of course, the CRL is a critical part of this and is actually driving some of the timeframe involved. But the bottom line is we want to make the city centre the most exciting city centre that it can possibly be. It is integrated and joined up. We have our chief executive who's chairing the city centre integration group with all the CEs, chief executives of the different council-controlled organisations, wrangling these all into one place so we deliver sensibly in a coherent and joined up fashion. And that process is reporting through into my committee. So politically, I'm making sure that there's good, strong oversight of this. So just to sum up, the Unitary Plan and the Auckland Plan have delivered up the vision. It's now time for us to put action into the ground and get those spades into the ground. We're not going to give up on any of the promises we made under the Unitary Plan, but we are going to be guided by your wisdom and that wider knowledge of the community through the submissions process to retune and retool some of the areas where I think we can do better. We've got a 30 to 50 year time frame to Auckland. We can't afford some of the old mistakes in the past where we sort of lost our bottle, we made grand statements and then we got frightened politically. We're setting out a new path for Auckland, and we hope to do it in collaboration and in partnership with all of you. We're not frightened of challenge, we're not frightened of people who tell us when we've got it wrong, because that's the only way we get it right. So thank you for your time today.